On a quiet afternoon in Utah, 2025,
the unthinkable happened. A single shot cut through the chairs during a speech, a shot that silenced a rising star and sent shockwaves across America. Charlie Kirk, a man who had spent years commanding headlines and polarizing crowds, was suddenly reduced to a headline himself. And America was reminded of a truth it keeps trying to forget. Assassins are not born overnight. They are made. From Lincoln to Kennedy, from Martin Luther King to Charlie Kirk, America has lived under the shadow of men who believe a bullet can change history. The question is, why does this culture keep coming back?
You know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
A vibrant young man who founded Turning Point USA was speaking to a packed crowd at Utah Valley University on September 10, 2025. He was a voice many loved, but when the gunshot rang out, it didn't just harm one person. It shattered the belief that free speech spaces are free from violence.
Why kill Charlie Kirk?
We get death threats all the time. You know, they come, they send stuff to our homes and all that. And yeah, that's just par for the course. I mean, if you are not getting active death threats, you're not really doing much for the country.
I don't know if you guys know this, but you here are at a crime scene.
Chaos and horror on a college campus. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk gunned down in front of a crowd at Utah Valley University. The state's governor calling it a political assassination.
From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives.
The suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, grew up in Washington, Utah, in a Mormon family with 3 brothers. Once considered a promising young man, but his path would soon take a darker turn. He attended Pineview High School and earned scholarship to Utah State University. However, after 1 semester, something shifted. He dropped out. Neighbors described him as quiet and reserved. A former co-worker remembers him boasting about making 450-yard shot, though there is no confirmation he took formal long-range shooting lessons. According to charging documents, the weapon was a Masao Model 98 action rifle fitted with mounted scope. Prosecutors say Robinson had received it as a gift from his grandfather. Investigators later found the gun wrapped in a towel hidden in a wooded area near the rally grounds. Inside the rifle, officers discovered 4 cartridges, 1 fired and 3 still loaded. Each carries strange inscription.
Hey fascists, catch.
A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
Everyone's just like scared. Like it's traumatizing.
I watched a fountain of blood come out of the side of his neck like a water fountain. And it was surreal.
I saw that he was shot in the neck and that he was squirting blood everywhere.
My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life.
In the years leading up to the shooting, his family noticed a change. They say he had become more political, often speaking with anger about Charlie Kirk, but records show he wasn't tied to any political party and he hadn't voted in the last 2 general elections. Still, people around him noticed his views were changing, moving away from the traditional values of his family toward causes that oppose Kirk. After the shooting, Robinson didn't run far. When his face began appearing across news platforms and social media platforms, his own father recognized him and convinced him to give himself up to the police. This is not the first time a nation has been shattered by a man with a rifle. On April 14, 1865, inside Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., John Booth walked up to President Abraham Lincoln. He believed killing Lincoln would serve a dying cause. His bullet ended a presidency and began a legacy of fear. After Lincoln's death, the nation plunged into mourning. Reconstruction became harsher under President Andrew Johnson, and the hope of a gentle reunification faded. Another incident happened on November 22, 1963 in Dallas, Texas. President John F. Kennedy's life ended. His motorcade stopped not by traffic, but by the bullet from the seat floor window of Tesla's book depository. Lee Harvey Oswald claimed he acted alone. Yet, decades later, a Gallup poll found 65% of Americans believe others were involved in a conspiracy. Only 29% believe Oswald shot Kennedy alone. Kennedy's death shocked the world. It led to the Warren Commission investigation and fueled endless conspiracy theories. In its wake, Lyndon B. Johnson pushed forward Kennedy's stalled agenda, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Yet, gun laws barely shifted, despite public fear. On April 4, 1968, at Lauren Motel, Memphis, Martin Luther King Jr., known for his peaceful resistance, stood speaking of justice, but James L. Ray's bullet silenced him. Shock rippled through America. His assassination sparked riots in over 100 U.S. cities, and the grief forced Congress to finally pass the Fair Housing Act just days later. King's death became a turning point. His voice was silenced, but his vision written into law. On March 30, 1981, outside Washington Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C., Ronald Reagan was just steps away from danger. John Hinckley Jr., obsessed and alone, believed a shot would impress someone and make him sin. That day, Reagan was lucky. The bullet only cut his ear. It could have been much worse. The attempt nearly killed Reagan, but his survival boosted his popularity. In the years after, the attack led to the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, named after Press Secretary James Brady, who was permanently disabled that day. It introduces federal background checks, one of the most significant U.S. gun controls of the 20th century. Across these stories, a pattern emerges: personal crisis, ideology, isolation, and planning. The U.S. Secret Service has studied attacks on public figures and found out that many attackers often face personal struggles or crises in times leading up to their actions. They link hints, exhibit obsession, bought weapons, but none of them blinked alone. Tyler Robinson's case shows the same troubling patterns. Investigators found text messages revealing his motive, bullets marked with words of intent, and a rifle tied directly to the attack. He even asked his roommate to delete evidence. Robinson had no serious criminal history, but prosecutors say he carried anger, disgust, and ideology that grew quietly in private and spread online. What's more shocking are the missed chances to stop him. Warnings brushed aside, conversation dismissed as complaint. No one stepped in, and so the rally ended in chaos. The stage fell silent, and the life was lost. But assassination attempt and political shooting aren't just an American problem. On November 4, 1995, Israeli Prime Minister Rabin was gunned down at a peace rally in Tel Aviv. His killer, a Jewish extremist, believed Rabin's peace effort betrayed his people. The assassination shocked Israel, led to days of mourning, and pushed the peace process into crisis. It also brought stricter security measures for Israeli leaders. On July 8, 2022, Japan was stunned when Shinzo Abe, its longest-serving prime minister, was shot in Naira by a homemade weapon, a nation with some of the world's strictest gun laws. In the aftermath, Japan tightens its rules on homemade weapons and increased protection for politicians doing public appearances. This event reminds us that no place is safe. When you mix politics with belief and bitterness, someone will pull the trigger. Today, prosecutors in Utah are seeking death penalty for Tyler Robinson, a punishment rarely pursued in modern political assassinations. When Abraham Lincoln was killed in 1865, John Booth died in the shootout, while 4 of his co-conspirators were executed by hanging. But in other cases, the responses were different. And also, when Ronald Reagan was nearly killed in 1981, John Hinckley was found not guilty by reason of insanity, and he spent decades in psychiatric hospital before being released. Even abroad, responses vary. Shinzo Abe's assassin is still awaiting judgment under Japan's strict laws. With prosecutors demanding the ultimate penalty in Robinson's case, it tests not just Utah's justice system, but also America's long history of struggling to answer one question: how should a nation punish those who strike at its leaders? History shows after assassination or attempt, government often respond with changes. In Japan, after the 2022 shooting of Shinzo Abe, the National Police Agency issued an official reporting admitting failures. The inquiry highlighted the blind spot in Abe's protection, particularly his exposed back. The report led to reforms, stronger national oversight of local police plans, and expanded resources for VIP protection. Senior police officials, including Commissioner General, resigned in acknowledgement of the lapses. In the United States, repeated incidents of political violence added to the urgency to gun reform debate. In 2022, Congress passed the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which introduces measures such as enhanced background checks for young buyers, stronger penalties for illegal firearm trafficking, and support for state-level red flag laws that allow temporary removal of firearms from individuals deemed to be dangerous. These steps reflected recommendations long pushed by security and public safety agencies. Both cases illustrate that responses to political violence are shaped not by pundits, but by institutions tasked with preventing future attacks. Japan's police adjusted protection protocols. U.S. agencies and lawmakers tightened aspects of firearm regulation. As Utah prosecutors pursue the case against Tyler Robinson, the unresolved question is whether this event will also produce institutional change or whether the familiar cycle will continue. So in the end, assassins are not born, they are shaped by voices that fuel them, by anger left unchecked, by silence when the warning signs are clear. Charlie Kirk's death is not just an ending, it is a warning. Because somewhere, another man may step into those same shadows, believing one bullet can speak for him. Will America notice the signs? Will America act before another state becomes a killing ground?
That man, that young man, I forgive him. And is what Charlie would do.
If this video was educative enough, please leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.